Do you ever feel like the decisions you make don't really correlate truly with what you want, or you feel like you've gone down a path and you don't even recognize who you are anymore? Or you want to get somewhere, but there's frustration because there is some sort of block, or you can't get there and you don't understand why. All these are signs of identity loss. Identity loss is something that happens when you grew up in an abusive environment with narcissistic parents or mentally ill parents, or it happens when you were in a relationship with an abuser. But today we're going to focus on identity loss of being a child of a narcissist and how they condition you to stay in your trauma. But before we get into today's video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Missy. I am a life and relationship coach, and on this channel we get to the root of the issue. We learn how to heal and deal. So if that's your thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be a part of the fam. And if you already are a subscriber, I really appreciate you so much. Also, if you are interested in any of my coaching services, you can go ahead and check it down in the link below. Let's get into today's video. So let's first start off with how a narcissistic parent or an abusive parent conditions you to stay stuck in trauma. When you are a child of a narcissist or any abuser, your brain develops differently than someone who grows up in a healthy home, or at least in a home that you're not being abused in. Healthy home children have their needs met where they are made to feel safe, secure, and loved, which this then helps nurture an environment where their brain can develop healthily. Both their logical part of their brain and their emotional part of their brain can function in harmony. And not only that, but they have parents around them that help them nurture and develop these skills. They may have parents that will talk to them, explain things to them, spend time with them. They just feel like they have a trusted caregiver that they can share things with and that they know will make them feel safe and secure. Now, if you grow up in chaos where there's constant trauma, your brain will be in constant survival mode. Survival mode means that you are solely operating off of your limbic system, which is the emotional part of your brain. This is where your fight or flight is, your nervous system, and where your quick emotional decision making is. This is more so the part of the brain where you develop that empathy and that skill to be able to read situations. So as a child that grows up in that chaos, you are programmed and you learn the skill of being able to determine what means what. Okay, so mom is stomping, that means that she's angry, and usually that means that she's going to barge into my room, and this is what I have to do to protect myself. So it's all, okay, I see these behaviors and I know this will mean this, so now I have to develop some sort of skill to protect myself. Basically, your whole child is learning how to respond to your environment and how to react to it to protect yourself. So that means that that part of your brain has very much been strengthened. So if one part of your brain is strengthened, what happens? The logical and reasoning part of your brain grows weaker. And then you lose the ability to determine what is actual danger and what is not. Because almost everything feels dangerous when you grow up in that environment. Breathing can feel dangerous. Breathing the wrong way, looking the wrong way can feel dangerous. Things that non-traumatized brains aren't afraid of, like taking risks, socializing, having relationships, doing day-to-day tasks, will be terrifying for you. This comes from the fact of not only because you were brought up to feel like everything is dangerous and not to have a mind of your own, but also from the fact you get stuck in these limbic system responses of feeling like you need to protect yourself. So this is not you, not your authentic self. It is you living through fear and trauma. You may be terrified as a child to go and socialize, to maybe go and, perform at the talent show at school. You may feel like you can't be a kid and you're not allowed to have an imagination because you have to do and behave exactly how mom or dad wanted you to. Now, dealing with this so long as a child will then condition you to become a helpless and fearful adult. You may feel you need other people to do things for you because you were brought up to feel that you're incapable, or you will mess up, or you will make mistakes, and you fear that failure. Maybe you were brought up to be a perfectionist and you can't do things unless it is the perfect idea or image you had in your head. Or you need to do things over and over again until it is perfected. Maybe you crave constant certainty and you were overly planned to make sure that you know for certain what will happen, or you'll go through things and you'll overthink things to be certain of what could be the potential outcome, and it's hard for you to take those risks. Or you won't do things at all because it is so uncertain, and risks are terrifying and a big no-no. You may have this need to constantly know what you're walking into in order to know, okay, this is how I can protect myself. So all of these things condition you to respond off of your trauma. Not only that, but narcissistic parents or abusive parents condition their children to be helpless is by constantly telling them no, denying them of their needs, or physically abusing them. And so because you're conditioned with this helplessness, you take it with you as an adult, even though you have freedom now as an adult. So you can get out of that environment and have all the freedom, but because they have conditioned you to be helpless or to behave certain ways, you will still respond as if you are still getting slapped, or you're still being told no, or you're still being denied. And so then you will have a hard time accessing the ability to problem solve. So understanding there's a problem and understanding you can do something about it and there is a solution. Or what's even worse is if these things are so repressed, you may lack the ability to think you can even do things to help your situations, or even acknowledge or understand when there is a problem. So all of these things, you may logically understand them, but emotionally, there's always a block, or you just can't work past it. So maybe you go to therapy, maybe you go to a coach or whatever, you watch videos and you come to the realization, oh, I have these issues, I understand all of these things, but I can't move forward. And this is because this trauma response or these beliefs have been so ingrained in your brain. You know, these what you've been told and what you've been conditioned is hardwired in that limbic system in your nervous system, that it's like super glued and it's hard to break out of. You may try, and as soon as you do, your fight or flight may kick in, and you may feel like, oh, this is really bad, I shouldn't be doing this, or you get really nervous about it, or you get very dysregulated, or you will start to make changes and then immediately you will go backwards and go back to those old coping mechanisms. So that's one part of how you can have identity loss from having a narcissistic or an abusive parent, is because they keep you conditioned and stuck in trauma. Then there's the other part of the identity loss where they mold you into who they want. And they do this by a couple different techniques. One is infantilization, and what that means is basically they will treat you younger than you are. They would treat you like a child, or in a way that denies your maturity or your age or your experience. So they're basically keeping you younger than you are. This is where they will make you feel incapable of doing things that you should be able to do at your age. Like, there is a time when you're a child where it's hard for you to like cook or clean and you need direction, and it's hard for you to take care of yourself, obviously. But then it gets to a point, like for instance, when you're a teenager or even a young adult, when they're still doing these things where they're still cooking for you and saying, oh, you can't cook for yourself, you need me to do this for you. Or I'm the mom, I'm the dad, I'm the one who takes care of this certain situation. Maybe they'll do your homework for you. They'll take over and do your homework, and they're like, no, let me do it. I do it better than you. They may not allow you to see certain things or hang out with certain people or talk about certain things. Like, let's say you're 16 and they don't allow you to talk about sex or watch movies that have sex in it, even though probably at school you had sex ed already. They may, as like a young adult or even a teen, they may stop you from getting a job or getting the job you want. You're too young, you don't understand these things. They will make you feel like you are unable to face the world or face similar experiences or issues that people your age normally experience. Why would they do this? Because the younger you are, the easier it is to control you. When you have a mind of your own, it's a lot harder to control you and manipulate you. But if they keep you young, then that's when they can kind of mold you into who they want. And that's what a lot of narcissistic parents will do, is they will have a child that they will try to keep young, because like when you're those younger years, you are all about your parent, like you don't know anything at that age, and then as you get older you start to get an idea, you start to maybe become distant. They don't like that. They have less of that control. So if they can keep their child at a young age, that means that they can't really grow as a person, and it will be less likely that they will leave them, and so they can continue to have that supply, because narcissists have a huge fear of abandonment and they don't want their kids to abandon them. That's their extension of themselves. And so what this will happen with you is you lose yourself because you're being conditioned to be this younger version or this helpless person, or thinking that you or your confidence is being taken away from doing things that you actually can be doing, and it keeps you in a fear response. So there's that, or there's the complete opposite where they parentify you. And what they do is they basically treat you older than you are, and they make you responsible for things that you shouldn't be responsible for, like maybe taking care of the narcissist problems, talking them like you're the therapist, taking care of bills, maybe getting, having to be the breadwinner, maybe having to take care of your siblings, maybe having to raise your siblings. You feel like you have to be maybe the other partner or the other parent, and they rely on you and say, hey, listen, your job is to take care of the family. You're the oldest, or you're the middle child, or whatever it is. It's your responsibility. And so because of that, you will probably become more of a serious person. You don't really get to have child experiences. You maybe have lost the ability to be able to use your imagination. You feel like you've definitely lost on having the regular teenage experience where you only have to worry about friends, relationships, and homework. No, you had to worry about adult responsibility. So you had to grow up very fast, and there's a part of you that you've lost. So that's another way that you will feel loss of identity, growing up with a narcissistic parent. The next thing is, because of all of the stress and the trauma, your genuine self will be replaced with the protective mechanism of constant fear and anxiety. So because you always had to stress about them and how they feel, you will take that with you into adulthood, and you may always think about your decisions and worry, how will this affect my narcissistic or abusive parent? How will they think about this? Am I shaming the family? Are they going to disown me? Or you may transfer that over to your partners, worrying about what they think, or your friends or people close to you, worrying about what they think, and you're going to hurt them or embarrass them in some sort of way, and you're constantly worried, having anxiety about what others are thinking about you and what you're doing, and fearing that abandonment. There's also that constant anxiety of maybe the world being dangerous, because they place that fear of, oh no, don't do that, you're gonna get shot, or don't do this negative thing's going to happen. You will constantly have anxiety and fear of the world, and worry that things could happen to you, because they place so much of that anxiety that the world is dangerous and you can't trust anything and something bad's going to happen to you. So you're always preparing for the worst. You weren't taught how to trust yourself, and that you can do things and you can make mistakes and things will happen and you'll be able to handle them, or certain things are out of your control. You were brought up to feel like you need to make sure everything's in your control, and you prevent as many bad things as possible, and make sure you don't displease anyone, and make sure you're perfect. So there will be that constant anxiety, and you'll have generalized anxiety and think of the worst and everything. You'll catastrophize everything. And then the last thing is, they will literally tell you who you are. So they will place character traits on you. Oh, you're shy. Oh, you're a bad kid. Oh, you always had issues with learning. Like, they will place these things on you, even maybe placing illnesses on you, because partially they're projecting, and they're projecting maybe their negative traits, or they just want you to feel bad and make you feel and seem like you are the certain person that you're not, because they made you maybe the scapegoat. They'll make you feel bad for who you are or your qualities, or even if they don't directly say things, they will imply things, or imply that you're bad, or you're gonna fail, or things aren't gonna work out for you, or they don't like this certain trait about you. And so they'll take these little hidden digs to make you feel like you're not enough. So they will tell you your personality. You didn't really get to fully develop your own personality. You kept being told what you are, and you were constantly shamed and guilted for the things that you did. Even things that weren't really that wrong, you were made to feel like they were wrong and you shouldn't do that. Like maybe sex, maybe you being interested in certain things. Maybe your narcissistic parent wasn't interested in those things or hated those things and they condemned you. Modeling, you wanting to be an engineer, anything that they disapproved of, you are shamed and guilted to not want to do those things, or be this certain person, or be interested in these certain things. So that was taken away from you, and so you become the person you feel like you have to be in order to survive. And not only that, but you will constantly feel guilt for the things that you do, or if you do something that's deemed as wrong in their eyes. So because of this guilt, you will constantly respond off of this guilt. Your guilt will become like your moral compass, your conscience, and you will make decisions off of this guilt, which makes you lose yourself because you're always thinking about doing the right thing or worrying about everyone else. You don't make decisions based on you and your own desires. And because of all this, the guilt and the shame, you will struggle with worthlessness and not feeling like you are ever enough. So you never really got to form your own identity. All of it has been trauma and fear. So my intention of this video is not to make you feel bad, because I'm sure after watching this, it's harsh, it hurts, it's like, oh my god, I can relate to some of these things and it can be painful. So this isn't to make you feel bad, it's more so to bring awareness of you understanding that you are not who your parents made you to be, and you are not your trauma, even though you had to do these things to survive. And if you think about it in a positive way, it's amazing that your brain came up with these coping mechanisms in order to protect yourself. And we want to thank those parts of your brain, because you're here because of those things. But we have to let go of and release those parts of us in order to move forward and to heal truly and to be able to find ourselves. So how can you do that? Whatever you desire, or if there's things you're afraid of doing, do it anyway. I mean safe things, not something that's dangerous. Do things out of your comfort zone. Speak up. Say something that maybe feels uncomfortable to say. Do the complete opposite of what your fears tell you, because fears are just things that we tell ourselves. Is a little bit of anxiety okay? Yes. Anxiety has a purpose. It is here to help guide us in situations that are dangerous. But what happened if you grew up in this type of environment? What happens is all you know is responding off of trauma and anxiety, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that you're all the way on the other end of the spectrum constantly responding off of this anxiety, because then you become the anxiety. No, we want anxiety to take a back seat and come up when it's necessary, but we want to really be in our truth, be in our authentic self. And I'll definitely make more videos in the future about how to find your identity. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. Ooh, I lost my breath. I did that all in one breath. Ooh, I feel like one of those things from like Harry Potter just sucked the breath out of me. The life out of me. I think I forgot how to breathe. Let us start from the beginning. Not only that, but the way not narcissistic children